Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
For an expert on all this stuff that's happening with the House of Representatives and their crazy shenanigans when it comes to sex, yikes, let's bring in Congressman George Santos, ex-Congressman George Santos. And yes, he may have told a fib or two about the volleyball team, but they didn't get him on any sex scandal. And quite frankly, I don't think they should have gotten him on anything. You were a victim, sir, of a crazy, corrupt world. And I'm glad you're joining us now. Are you happier now, Congressman, that you're not a congressman?
I got to tell you, Greg, I haven't been happier in a long time. I laugh because it's almost sad, but it's poetic justice to watch. Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez, two of my biggest critics, actually. I know a lot of people give credit to the New York fellows. They were just doing the political stuff, survival of politics, whatever. But these two guys went out of their way, Texas congressman and California congressman, with all these skeletons in their closets. But I have to say something, Greg. At the end of the day, it's so good when the trash takes itself out. The American people deserve better than this kind of nonsense taking place in Washington. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to your audience. I kind of enjoy it. I kind of enjoy it. It's not the magnanimous thing to say or to do, but I think it's good that the hypocrisy and the veil of all of the shenanigans is falling back, and the American people now get to peek and see how absolutely subterranean Capitol Hill is.
Well, it's a human reaction. There's a name for it. It's a fancy word. Schadenfreude. You are taking pleasure in the suffering of others. And, but not suffering. I mean, this is political suffering. This is legal suffering. It's not like he's dying on the side of the road. I'm sure you'd pick him up, right? If Eric Swalwell was dying on the side of the road, begging for help, you'd help him, right?
Of course. That's the Catholic thing to do. You pick him up, you drop him off at a hospital, and you go home and you feel good about yourself. The good about yourself. That's a very interesting observation. Someday we'll have a larger theological conversation. All right. So tell me your experience with Swalwell. He came after you. Do you have any, are you at all skeptical of these allegations, though, the timing of it right before the election? This woman says she was assaulted 8 years ago. So let me make this clear, Greg. I know that the timing is convenient and it casts doubt on the credibility. And this is the thing that I've repeatedly said. The problem is that this isn't the new thing. Eric Swalwell's behavior and Tony Gonzalez, I'm not going to say one without the other. Both of their behavior was well known to leadership on both sides of the aisle when I was in D.C. It was known by staff. It was known by reporters. We were all whispering about it. The problem is nobody ever came forward. So at the end of the day, they were just whispers, right? This is what happened. Now, I do believe in due process. I'm not going to sit here and pontificate as if, throw the book at them without giving them due process. But to be very honest with you, I think that when you have so many credible, in Swalwell's case, because Tony Gonzalez, in fact, has already admitted to it, right? The most insane thing is that he was actually thinking he was just going to sit around and wait until, his term expired for him to go back to Texas. No. Swalwell had to happen in order for Tony to wake up, which is sad. But in the case of Swalwell, it's not coordinated. It's courage. One person comes out and it generates courage on others to do the same. And with him, it gets worse because there's more people coming out even after the fact. So I don't think it's about timing. I think it's the same thing we saw with Harvey Weinstein. Once the floodgates broke, it broke and it started pouring through. And Eric is just right now, honestly, couldn't have happened to nicer people.
What was he? I want to play this for you. This is Kevin McCarthy talking about how what you just said, everybody kind of had an idea. Cut 18, please. Cut 18.
Every member in Congress knows not to let any young staffer get around Swalwell or Matt Gaetz. It's not a secret there.
So he was a Speaker of the House, and I'm a little bit taken aback by that. And it makes me think of you. Do you remember when Mitt Romney confronted you at the State of the Union and he tried to chew you out? And, how dare you show up here? You should go home. And I just thought to myself, wow, if Mitt Romney, for all of his status, for all of his accomplishment, for all of his
couldn't he have taken you aside? Couldn't he have met you and had coffee with you? I bet that was the first time you ever talked to him.
You know, it's funny. It was not the first time I ever talked to him, but he would never remember that in 2012, I was a young volunteer in New York City, and I shook his hand and I took a picture with him, and I was so eager to support him for president. But obviously, he wouldn't know that. But yes, he didn't approach me like many other senators, to their credit, approached me. Tom Cotton, J.D. Vance, and a litany of them to offer me, you know, a helping hand, guidance, and, you know, and I appreciate that from the upper chamber. But when Speaker McCarthy then said those things about Swalwell, that was a tall tale. Like, you know, like when you have the Speaker of the House saying this, it's incredible. But what's more remarkable is that the former Speaker of the House, Pelosi, knew this, and the former Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, and John Boehner all knew this about Swalwell. And for some bizarre reason, unbeknownst to me, nobody ever took action on it, which is crazy. Right? It doesn't make sense. And it goes back to they don't really want these things out there because it starts shedding a light on other members, and it jeopardizes the party, the institution, and the credibility with the American people. That's why Congress has such a low approval rating from the American people. And I'm going to leave this with you as well. If there's smoke, there's fire. I urge authorities to look into Ruben Gallego, the senator from Arizona. Not because I just want to point fingers, but this man was his self-described best friend, roommate. They lived together on Capitol Hill for years. There's no way he can turn around and say, oh, I didn't know any of this. You traveled with him. There's allegations that now infamous video that we've all seen to nauseam of Eric Swalwell and the sex worker. Apparently, there's allegations that Ruben Gallego is in that image. So I think a forensic auditing of the image should be had by the FBI. I think a lot of information needs to be asked and gathered from the senator of Arizona. And if he truly has nothing to hide, the most transparent thing to do is to surrender your phone and cooperate so that we know what's going on. I mean, there's now allegations coming up, Greg, of underage women being involved. So again, these are all allegations, and he is innocent until proven guilty, but nonetheless, these are very serious allegations. These are the kind of allegations that make your hair stand up. But to not be too long-winded, I just want to remind folks, the precedent of expelling somebody before they're proven guilty and convicted was changed on December 1st, 2023, when I was expelled from Congress under political pressure from members of Congress who just did not feel like the aspect of me remaining. So they went and changed precedent. So for all of those screaming due process, boo-hoo, tough luck. You were a part of changing the due process. So go ahead now and deal with it and sleep in the bed you made.
All right. Well, whoa. I totally get where you're coming from. But look, Swalwell has not been expelled. He resigned, right? And so did this
other guy. He
resigned
because he was going to be expelled.
He was going to be expelled.
Both were there.
Yeah, it was going to be expelled. And it was, I mean, at the time, it drove me crazy watching that guy from New Jersey. What was his name? Menendez, U.S. Senator going about his business. Hello, I'm a U.S. Senator. He's been indicted 16 times. And, and you hadn't been indicted. You lied about being on the volleyball team. Who cares? And they treated you like you were the most important person in the world. It was really, really wild to see.
One more, Greg, on Menendez. Menendez was convicted at trial, and Chuck Schumer allowed him to serve an additional 30 days in the U.S. Senate before he resigned. He served an entire 30 days to, quote, put his affairs in order. Such nonsense.